Welcome to the Southern Craft Woodshop. I'm Wes Lewis. How do you take a spare bedroom, convert it into a home office, and not give up bed space? Well, you do it with a Murphy bed. In this episode, we're going to follow the steps in building the Murphy bed that you can't really see behind me. After researching a few different Murphy bed systems, I decided to go with the hardware kit manufactured by Create-A-Bed. The kit includes all the hardware needed as well as detailed fabrication and assembly instructions. With these specifications in hand, I incorporated our queen-size Murphy bed into our overall design concept, paying special attention not to deviate from any critical dimensions that would affect the performance of our hardware. I'll be using Southern Yellow Pine for our inner wood bed frame, and I carefully selected a 1x12 that was 12 foot long and free from any knots or voids. This will be a key structural component to our Murphy bed. I'll need 2 pieces that are 3/4 by 1.5 inches by 80 inches long, and I'll need 10 pieces that are 3/4 by 1.5 inches by 60.5 inches long. We'll take our 10 60.5 inch pieces and put together 5 frame struts, and we'll put them together in an L configuration using wood glue, 1.5 inch brads, and 1.5 inch wood screws. With our frame struts on the table, we'll bring over our frame sides for layout. Our queen bed calls for the layout to be 20 inches on center, so we'll place a mark at 19 5/8, 39 5/8, and 59 5/8. That will accommodate the thickness of our struts. To mount our side struts to our side frame, I'm going to tack it with an 1.5 inch brad, countersink, and run 2 2-inch wood screws. We've repeated the process on the opposite side. Now we're ready to take the inner frame off the table and begin working on the outer frame. For our outer bed frame, we'll be using cabinet grade 3/4 inch plywood. We'll need 2 side rails 5 7/8 by 81.5, 1 foot rail 3 inches by 62, 1 head rail 7 7/8 by 62. We'll take our side rails and start laying out for our pivot hardware. We'll need a mark at 9 inches and 1 7/8 down. Then I'll repeat the process on the opposite side rail. Now I'll take a countersink bit and make a very small indentation right on our mark. I'll place a sacrificial board underneath our workpiece and secure it with a few clamps. And now we'll take a 1-inch Forstner bit and drill a hole all the way through the workpiece. We'll move to the other end of the side rail, which will be the foot rail end, and we'll make a mark at 3 1/8. And we'll come down from the top 2 1/2. We'll make a small indention with our countersink bit, and then we'll take a 5/8 Forstner bit and drill a hole a 1/2 inch deep. Now we'll repeat this process for the opposite rail. We'll bring our leg over, then we'll anchor the pivot stud into our 5/8 hole. Then on the top side we'll install 2 by 3/4 screws. On the bottom side, we'll drill 2 1/4 inch holes all the way through the material to receive a T-nut and machine screws. Now we'll remove our hardware and repeat these steps on the opposite side rail. We'll move back down to the head rail end of our side rail, and we'll mount our pivot plate using 4 number 12 3/4 inch screws, and we'll do that on the inside of the side rail. We'll remove our pivot plate from the inside of the side rail. We'll flip our part over, and now we'll install the lower ball stud plate. We'll use 2 number 10 3/4 inch wood screws, 3 T-nuts, 3 machine screws, a 1/4 inch spacer, and a 5/16 inch spacer. Next, we'll come down to the foot rail end of our side rails, and we need to cut a 2 7/8 radius. Now, the manufacturer provides a paper template that you can cut and trace, then use a jigsaw and a belt sander to clean that edge. Now I have found that sometimes you can get some chip out from the jigsaw and the belt sander can take the sharpness off of that edge. So I'm going to do things a little different. I'm going to use a router with a 1/2 inch router bit and a 3/4 inch collar. That's going to give me an 1/8 of an inch offset. So my template, I'll do a 2 3/4 inch radius and I'll back set an 1/8 of an inch off the top edge and off the end. Our next step is to edge band all of the exposed edges that will be visible when our frame is completely put together. We'll need to band the top side of both side rails, the top side of the head rail, and the top side of the foot rail. For this step, we'll simply use a household iron to iron the pre-glued edge banding in place. Once it has set, we'll come back and we'll trim the edges. We've now set all of our frame components over to the side, and we've brought over to the table our frame panels. I'll need 2 panels 32 by 81 3/4 to make up a 64 by 81 3/4 panel overall. With our panels face up, we'll cut a 1/4 inch by 3/8 deep dado on the seam side, and we'll use our router with a slot cutting bit. I'll use our palm sander to run a small chamfer down the top edge of the seam. We'll flip the panels face down with both edges of the seams facing each other. Then we'll install some clamp blocks, measuring out to be sure that we miss the struts on our inner frame. We'll install the splines with some glue and use the clamp blocks to pull everything tight. Then we'll edge band the 2 long edges and the top edge. We can now bring over our internal bed frame and we'll place it on the back side of the face panel. We'll center it left to right and we'll mark the locations that we want to use to attach to our panel. We'll lift the frame above the panel to drill our holes. We'll blow any shavings that are left off of the panel and lower our internal bed frame back down onto the panel. Now we'll bring over our foot rail and we'll attach that to the internal frame using wood glue and 1 1/4 inch screws. And we'll do that on the edge banded end of the panel. We'll do the same with the head rail on the opposite end. Next we'll bring over the side rails and we'll attach them in the same manner. We'll pay attention that the inside goes toward the bed frame. Well, we've got our bed frame completely assembled now, and it revealed to me a mistake that I made earlier. If you think you know what it is, pause the video, go to the comments and leave your guess. I'll come back to it a little bit later and show you what it is and what I'm doing to correct it. But for now, we need to attach our bed frame to our face panels. We'll start off by centering the frame left to right. It should be approximately 1/4 of an inch left on either side. And we'll flush the side rail to the edge banded end, which will be the foot rail end of the bed. Once we have the frame positioned on the panel, we'll take a pencil and we'll mark the outside and we'll mark the interior struts. Then we'll raise the frame back up above the panel. We'll apply glue, lower the panel back down, and we'll attach the frame to the face panel with 1 1/4 inch screws. And once we remove our clamps and our clamp blocks that were holding our face panel seam together, we'll be ready to prime and finish. We do still need 2 pieces of 1/4 inch plywood, 31 inches by 80 inches to make up our mattress support. I'm going to hold off on that until after finishing and after I've attached the doors to the face panel. Now we'll start working on the cabinet that'll actually house our Murphy bed. Now this is where I'm making some slight adjustments. I'm increasing the size of the header and I'm increasing the depth of the cabinet to make room for a thicker headboard. I'm also having to make a small tweak because of a mistake that I made earlier. I'll be making my side panels 1.5 inches thick, and I'll do that with 2 layers of 3/4 inch plywood. And then I'll add a hardwood nose to the face. For my header, I'll be increasing the height to 3.5 inches. It'll be open to the top so we can screw to the wall through the back side of the header. For our headboard, we pocket screwed a face frame assembly together, attached that to a piece of 3/4 inch plywood, and topped it off with a 3/4 inch hardwood cap. Now we can lay out for our side panel hardware. Remember, we have left and right panels. We'll start with our male pivot plate. We'll measure up 11 3/4 from the bottom and back 4 3/4 from the front. We'll use a Forstner bit to drill a 5/8 diameter hole 1/2 inch deep, and we'll use 2 12 by 3/4 screws on the bottom side and T-nuts at the top. Then we'll move up to our upper piston plate with ball stud. We'll come up 30 3/4 from the bottom and set back 10 inches from the front. We'll use a 5/8 Forstner bit to drill a 1/2 inch deep hole. We'll mount with 4 number 10 by 3/4 black screws and 1 T-nut. Then we'll move to the top of the panel to set the bed stop. will come in from the front 7 3/8, and if you're following the manufacturer's cut list, you'll come down from the top 6 inches. We'll drill a 5/16 hole, a 1/2 inch deep, and we'll attach it with a number 10 3/4 black screw. We've stripped all of our hardware off, and short of a little bit of sanding, we're ready to go into finishing. We'll prime all of our parts, we'll sand, then we'll top coat, then we'll be ready to go out and install. With all of our parts painted, we'll bring in our bed frame assembly and place it face down on the floor a few feet away from the wall we'll be mounting to. We'll reattach all of our hardware with the exception of the bed stops at the top of each cabinet panel. A piece of solid stock 3/4 by 3/4 by 60 1/4 will make up our leg support rail. We'll find center and drill a 1/4 inch hole 1.5 inches deep on each end. Then we'll attach the rail between each leg using a 1/4 inch by 2 inch leg support rail screw. Next, with the face of each cabinet panel towards the floor, we'll connect the panels to the bed frame assembly by joining the male and female pivot hardware with the plastic spacer between them. We will then lock the connectors together with an E-clip. The headboard can now be installed face down at the back and between the two cabinet panels. The cabinet panels can now be stood upright, and the header can be installed between the panels. The next step requires working space between the wall and the back of the bed and is most definitely a 2-person operation. Raise the bed frame assembly up, going beyond flush with the face of the cabinet until the gas springs line up with the top ball stud and snap them into place. Now, while holding the cabinet securely, push the frame assembly back out of the cabinet far enough to screw the bed stops into place. The bed frame assembly will be spring loaded for this step. The structure of the Murphy bed is now complete and should be moved into position to be mounted to the wall. Do not try to open the bed before all wall attachments have been made. We will level across the top of the header, find all stud locations, and use 3-inch screws through the top, side, back of the header. For our project, we added false doors and cabinet pulls. It was necessary to use a temporary pull to complete this process. Once the doors were on, the 1/4 inch mattress supports were screwed into place. Then on the footrail end of the bed, we measured 16 inches out of each corner and attached our elastic retaining straps with 1.25 inch washer head screws. Finally, we're ready for a mattress, and I'll tell you, I've never seen a mattress this size come in a box this small. I was truly amazed. It did take a full day to fully fluff, but once it did, I was surprised at how firm it was. Well, the rest of the project was a few cabinets here, a desk there, and running some trim, but I feel like I'm forgetting something. Oh yeah, my mistake from earlier. Well, you see what happened when I was cutting the face panels to length, 81 3/4. I guess that number stuck in my head, and I cut the side rails 81 3/4 as well. They were supposed to be 81 1/2. The assembly instructions call for the foot rail and the end of the side rail to attach to the face panels flush on the edge banded end. What I did was I actually set the foot rail back 1/4 inch and I flushed the side rails to the end. On the other end of the face panel, at the head rail end, the face panel was supposed to extend beyond the head rail 1/4 inch. It's now sitting flush. What that did was it made my face panel 1/4 inch taller, and I had to adjust my opening height 1/4 inch taller. Well, when it's all said and done, I'm going to take a play out of Bob Ross's playbook, and I'm going to call it a happy accident. And if we're being honest, I actually like the way that it looks. It was a mistake, but it was one that was easy enough to correct. Guys, if you enjoyed this video, give me a thumbs up, hit the subscribe button, and leave me a comment. And as always, thanks for watching.